At its core, an insult is a play for status, increasing personal status while damaging another's. And oh my god, the damage is real. Researchers at UCLA found that the social pain of being insulted activates the same parts of the brain as physical pain. To us, they feel the same. So how should we deal with an insult like that? I mean, a clever comeback is fun, but it just escalates the conflict and brings us down to the same level as the insulter. So what if instead of targeting their status, we could completely restore ours? That too with just one sentence. If you're new here, I'm Sanjeev. I'm a cognitive scientist from UC Berkeley, and on this channel, we discuss evidence-based ways to communicate better and connect better with the people in our lives. The research on conflict resolution points to 3 key phrases that completely diffuse an insult, subtly letting the other person know, hey, that ain't gonna work on me. Number 1, the rewind method. The core of the rewind method is this. When someone insults us, we respond with a clarifying question. Like, oh, sorry, could you repeat that? Or even, oh, what did you mean by that? Here's why it works. Author Amy Gallo, who's written countless books on conflict resolution, points out that these questions force the insulter to mentally rewind, to reflect on what they meant, how their words might have come across to the rest of us. And this rewinding is so important because it helps us figure out if the insult was actually insulting. Insult, insulting. English. Professor William Irvine explains that between insult and useful feedback is a thin line, and that line is subjective. For example, Stoic philosophers viewed the same insult differently if it came from a good friend or a mentor. Rewinding in those scenarios turns that insult into an opportunity for improvement, to receive with gratitude. But if the insult comes from someone we don't care about, then the rewind method forces them to either back off or double down and look like a douche in front of everyone. In other words, a win-win. Number 2, the compassion question. The next time someone insults us, pause, look straight in their eyes and say, hey, are you okay? What a baller move. Mic drop, it's over. Sorry, back to the science. The are you okay question only works when our compassion is sincere. Amy Gallo explains that if someone lashes out with an insult, it often comes from a place of hurt or frustration. And when we empathize with that by asking what's going on, it calms the other person down. It makes them more receptive to having a discussion. And look, I'm with you. When I'm getting insulted, compassion is the last thing that I want to do. But the science is way in favor. Researchers from San Diego found that compassion is contagious. Specifically, that a single act of compassion can snowball up to triple that over a sequence of interactions. That's why the compassion question is so good. It brings us and the insulter onto the same side. And when it comes to status, you're a person who got insulted and then made sure the other person was okay. What's more badass than that? And finally, number 3, self-enhancing humor. But only in specific situations. Let me explain. In 2003, psychologist Rod Martin categorized humor into 4 types. And out of those, self-enhancing humor, specifically being able to laugh at yourself during misfortune. Now, if an insult comes from a recurring character in our lives, like a coworker, a roommate, a family member, then humor is not the best approach because it lets them off the hook. It doesn't send that clear signal of, hey, I don't like this behavior, like the previous 2 strategies. But if the insult comes from a stranger or a rando, then Dr. Neil Burton lists 3 reasons why humor works so well. First, it undercuts the insulter and their insult. Second, it brings any third parties to our side. And finally, it does all this while diffusing the tension of the situation. And laughing at ourselves counterintuitively increases our status because it's the best example of what Professor Irvine calls insult pacifism. That's the only way to completely remove ourselves from this social hierarchy game, leaving us confident, unfazed, and impossible to insult. In addition to self-enhancing humor, there's 3 other types of humor that each come with special benefits and drawbacks. So check out this video for all the research about that. We'll talk soon.